Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the day that we will start the 93rd running of the Le Mans 24 Hours. It is Saturday into Sunday for that race, but we kick off Le Mans morning with live coverage of the Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational. John Hindhaugh and Peter Mackay in the Ford Performance Global Broadcast Centre, our studios at the end of the Bugatti circuit. Just to drivers right of the Ferris wheel, just to drivers left, and underneath the Ferris wheel at the moment, 37 Ford Mustangs, the Dark Horse R, ready to go racing. No better alarm clock than 500 horsepower of V8 engine in each of the cars. So what are we talking about? 36, 37, 18 and a half, 19,000. We've lost a couple since yesterday, so we're not quite, Peter, knocking on the door of the 20,000 horsepower that we unleashed for 45 minutes yesterday. Good morning. Are you ready for this? And are you ready for your first Le Mans Saturday and Sunday?
I'm ready, yeah.
I'm
ready to go. And I think what a way to kick it off. The perfect amuse-bouche, the Mustang Challenge here. We had a great race yesterday. What a performance from Cameron McLeod, who built a gap and maintained it very professionally over the course of the race. Can he do the same again today? Well, Sam Paley and Jensen Altzman are going to do their very best to try and put the winning trophy on their mantelpiece rather than Cameron's.
I'll run down the Mustang Challenge for Performance grid as we get them out on the track and we make sure that everybody's there. The one story from yesterday that we have to pick up on was Robert Noaker. If you weren't with us yesterday, Robert qualified a couple of seconds ahead of the rest of the field, but his car was found to be out of compliance. It was the front splitter. Now, I think everybody knows that these are not aero and downforce cars, as we are already knocking on the door of 20 Celsius with a beautiful day of weather. We should be up to about 25 degrees today. A little bit of cloud later in the afternoon with 13 overnight. The story, as I say, was that Robert's car was out of compliance and therefore he was put to the back of the grid. Now, for most drivers, that would have been an inconvenience and a disappointment. It may well have been a disappointment for Robert, but it was a mild inconvenience. He was mighty yesterday.
He did. He made his way all the way up through the order I think he made it into the top 10 in the end. So it was, and what I think was the most impressive part was from the start-finish line to Tête Rouge, he gained 10 places. Now, that is quite amazing how he's taken several cars per corner to be able to do that. So he was really, really impressive yesterday. And that's not a surprise because when in the first practice session, he was 4.5 seconds quicker than anybody. And, you know, in the second practice session, he was just under 2 seconds quicker. And, of course, qualified on pole. We'll see what happens today. I mean, he sort of just ran out of time yesterday to make any further inroads because by the time he'd kind of got up towards the sharp end, Cameron McLeod had gone.
We also finished a lap early yesterday in terms of the red flag that came out when, unfortunately, the number 47 Tim Miles Wall Racing car hit the barriers quite hard at karting. And therefore we went back a lap. Sam Paley was actually catching Cameron McLeod, and on that previous lap to the red flag had taken over 1.5 seconds out of Cam's lead. And we were, I mean, first of all, good news is that the car with the story behind it, the Wall Racing number 47 and Tim Miles, Tim was fine. He got out the car under his own volition. And the car is listed back on the grid again, so that's the good news. It was really interesting to see we had a full green flag race to that point. We did have a slow zone, but we didn't have to have the Ford Mustang Dark Horse out on the circuit as our safety car. So the question is, and we had a chat with Robert yesterday. Indeed, all of the Ford Performance Academy drivers, they came and joined us at one of our campsite visits at First Tickets and Beausejour. Hello to everybody over there listening on 91.2 around the circuit, around the world, of course, via Ford Performance on YouTube. The Ford Performance young drivers are having a great time. Robert Norgate had a good time. He has to do it again. We thought that he would be given his lap time from that race. There was a change in the regulations earlier in the week, which I have to say I missed, so I'll put my hand up to that. So when he lost his lap time, normally if you get a better lap time in the first race, then that becomes your grid spot for the second race, then your qualification if you say a better lap time. That was taken out for this race. This is an invitation. It's not part of the championship. Bad news for Robert, good news for us, because we get to watch that blue and white number 13 car come through the field again, and only 37 cars on the grid this time. So he's got 2 cars fewer to pass. That should mean he gets closer to the top 5.
Well, that's the theory. So we'll see how he goes, and I guess with one race under his belt, he'll have an even better idea of how to cut through the field particularly quickly. So let's see how far up the order he can get. I mean, also we have the Dark Horse Stars class where 6 drivers have been invited to take part. That was won yesterday by the number by Chelsea Denova, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just dropped it because Tanner Faust had an issue with quite a lot of rear damage. So Tanner Faust has been the I would say the benchmark driver in that class.
Has he been the shining star?
He has been the shining star.
Sorry
yes,
about that.
yes.
I'll get that out of the way before we get to the
shooting star.
Very good.
Is Tanner Faust in the Spark Performance Machine, but it might be a bit of a change of the order today because the number 77 car with the Tour de Four Challenging Perception of Cancer livery on it, which was driven yesterday by Sir Chris Hoy, the legendary British Olympian.
7-time Olympic gold medalist, hence 11, one of the numbers.
11 world titles and 34 Grand Prix wins amongst
many
other
Le Mans
things.
24-hour start in LMP2 here in the big race.
Exactly. So he will be vacating that seat today and handing over to Chris Harris, which fans of really any motoring magazine worth its salt in the last 25 years will have read Chris's work. Those who are fans of YouTube, and aren't we all, his YouTube videos of reviewing cars are just fantastic to watch as well. And of course, for those from the United Kingdom, will recognise him from Top Gear as well. Yeah. He was part of the Top Gear, and which some people, let's not get into that of what people, which lineup of Top Gear like, but I'll happily put my hand up and say I really enjoyed the dynamic that Chris, Freddie Flintoff and Paddy McGuinness had. I was sometimes wetting myself laughing.
You'll never get better than Tiffany Dell and Chris Goffey, I'm afraid. I'm old school. Doing the Goffey, although William Woolard back in the day, 1 foot up on the wheel. Yeah, with the Farah slacks. I'm going back in time. We've got cars rolling, which is great news, and any time now we should be able to hear as they come past the Ford Performance Studios and our Global Broadcast Centre. Yeah, there they are. We can hear them in the background now. Brilliant stuff. Chris Harris is a very good racing driver. We've interviewed him many times. He spent time in our booth at the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which is where we will be next weekend, and there's plenty of Ford interest there as well, with the GT3 car running in SP9 in the overall top class, gunning for honours there. My goodness me, the big brother, if you like, of these cars. That is the first time that Ford has been back in a works capacity for a long time. They've picked an excellent team, Peter. If you like, of these cars, that is the first time that Ford has been back in a works capacity for a long time. They've picked an excellent team, Peter, and this time next week we will be talking about those cars being at the sharp end of the field, I think.
That I can't wait to see this weekend, but believe me, put it in your calendar. You want to watch next weekend's Nürburgring 24-hour, folks, because it is just fantastic. And yeah, to see the blue oval back in racing in Germany, there's so much history of the Ford brand in Germany. Yeah, like I said, this weekend's all about Le Mans, but make sure it's in your diary, because trust me, you won't regret it.
And free live coverage around the world, just as we are doing this weekend for this Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational. I'll say this again before the end, but if you're watching around the world, beautiful morning, by the way, all of the IMSA Ford Mustang Challenge races are available on the Ford Performance official YouTube channel. And the next time that we see these cars after today, we go from one iconic, quick, beautiful road type circuit to another, because we're at Road America, America's National Park of Speed, August the 1st to the 3rd. 2 races from there. I cannot wait to see these cars moving around through the kink, coming down to Canada Corner, and all, I think actually the run down to Hurry Downs to Kettle Bottoms as well, down to turn 8. That's going to be really interesting to see how these cars run around there. That's the next championship race. Robert Noaker leads the championship at the moment. He'll start from 37th position, but let's go to the other end of the grid where Cameron McLeod is looking to go 2 for 2 here at Le Mans. Sam Paley knows he can't let him get away for the Paley Motorsport. Jensen Holtzman closer to the front of the field in the floral, team floral number 23. Dan McKeever with a super qualifying is 4th overall and leads in the Robert Noaker car, the DHL, that is Dark Horse Legends category for drivers with a bit more experience of life. Alex Batura, who has been in some ways Robert Noaker like in the championship. He's won every single race in the IMSA championship for these cars this year. He is alongside 4th and 5th. Then it's another pole sitter, Tanner Faust for the Dark Horse Stars in 6th position in the number 1 car. Moving through, Tate Pritt is in 11th in the Tech Sport number 133. He's 2nd in Dark Horse Stars, and 3rd is Chelsea Deneau for yesterday's winner. Frankie Muniz absolutely wants to come through the field today. He's racing for his kids. I saw the quotes yesterday about his lad saying, "Did you win today, Daddy?" And he's not been able to say yes for a little while. So he's got a bit of pressure on from home for that. Going through the other Dark Horse Legends, it's Andrew Midecki, who had an incident yesterday in the Team Anzac, number 35, who is in 3rd. Tom Tate with the green, sort of green and orange faded car, one of the few cars that doesn't have red, white and blue on it somewhere. That is the 4th place car in Legends, and Drew Neubauer, who is in the Gradient NV Autosport car, is in 5th. Top 6 made up by his teammate Stephen Weiher in the number 10 car. In the other Dark Horse categories, Sandy Satulo, who showed well yesterday in a Robert Noaker number 7. And Automatic Racing's Will Lucas are 4th and 5th in the top 6. Nathan Van Springel for Team Floral in the number 95 car, although not running yesterday in the Belgian coloured machine with the... it's actually the 95 is a red car, but the Galloping Stallion, the Mustang on the side, was in the Belgian colours. That car didn't run in that colours yesterday, so I'm not sure if he swapped to a spare car. So, we had excellent entertainment. We got the chance on Thursday to stand out on the balcony with the Ford VIP guests and hospitality and do some old school commentary trackside to the world for Performance and for Radio Le Mans around the circuit here on 91.2 FM. And good morning to all of you, by the way, who are tuned in trackside to find out what is going on. We'll have full coverage of the 15-minute warm-up, and then, of course, it's back-to-back Le Mans programming all the way through till 4 o'clock and beyond on Sunday. The thing that struck me is the auto blip, how consistent it was on the down change. We may not have mentioned, in fact we haven't, so we'll remind everybody, 500 horsepower, but the big thing is 3 pedals. That means you do have a clutch and you do have a 6-speed gearbox. For the purposes of here, it's actually only 5 gears are being used because the top gear is more of an overdrive for street driving, but it is a stick shift And that auto blip, even the pro drivers are telling us how good it is.
They're all using it. Yeah, you could tell that when we were watching from the For Performance VIP hospitality. They were all using it because every single down change, the blip sounded exactly the same. So they're clearly all using it, and it really helps the braking performance of the car. I was speaking to Joey Atterbury the other day, who used to drive for Roush, who knows this car really, really well. And hello if you're listening, Joey. And he said that the braking in these cars is really, really good, which for a car of its size and weight is really impressive. And at Le Mans, straight line speed is obviously vital, but equally vital is braking performance.
Yeah, there is a lot of big stops. There are a lot of big stops here. This race car built very much on the road car panels, the road car engine, the Tramic gearbox also. So the running gear and the shell from the road car, obviously it's been enhanced with safety. So a full cage, some changes to the brakes, 18-inch rims with Michelin tyres, running slicks of course here. But the car is well under $150,000 to buy one to go racing, and then your local taxes on top of that. And you can get these in right-hand drive. I'm talking to South Africa, to Australia, and of course to the UK, Ford UK. This will actually be the only Ford car that isn't a crossover or a truck or an SUV available by, I think, the end of this year. So it is truly a global vehicle, and it remains a global icon of performance and grand touring ability. Race 2 of the Ford Mustang Challenge, the Le Mans Invitational. Dreams are being made. The safety car, which is at the moment the pace car, and it really is the pace car, will pull off hard right into the pit lane, halfway through, appropriately enough, the Ford chicane. As he comes round, in fact, he's done the whole of the Ford chicane and pulls off now. So Ryan McLeod on the inside in the number 92, and Sam Paley on his right-hand side. So McLeod gets the wider run. The green flag is waving. The green light is on. A very, very tight run. And it's almost touching from the front row. In third place, it's Jensen Altman taking a bit of a watching brief at the moment. Jensen not wanting to throw it in there, and he hits the curb. The number 91 car, Dan McKeever, from Team Robert Noaker Racing, hit the curb too hard. The start under investigation. There's a piece of bodywork hanging from the leading car. Well, Jensen Altman, I think, stayed out of that. Well done to him. And in the lead of the race, well, Ryan McLeod is down to second. Sam Paley has avoided the carnage. Not carnage at Arnage, it was carnage at Dunlop for the first time.
Well, it was indeed, and we've seen that many times in the big race as well. Drivers getting it all wrong at the start, as the right-hand indicator of Sam Paley's or turn signal car is flashing. Also, the rear bumper is flailing around, and it won't be able to continue like that. I would think he'll get a black and orange flag unless the bumper comes off the car soon. And
we've got a car that didn't get through that, at least a couple. In fact, Dan McKeever. So we will have a slow zone at the end. We'll start at the end of the lap. There's the pass for the lead as Cameron McLeod goes straight back in the lead. Jensen Altman still in third position. Batura in the lead of the Dark Horse, but coming through, Sandy Satulo there, the number 7, as he tries to go through and catch on to the back of the Dark Horses. Now, what did that do at the back of the grid for the number 13 car? Well, I'll tell you, Robert Noack has gone one better today. He's up to 17th position. But at the start of Marco Signoretti involved in something at the back of the field for the Academy Motorsport car. That is at Marshallport, and we are going to get a safety car.
Yeah, so have to. That was at the Daytona chicane, which is the first of the 2 Mulsanne chicanes. And yeah, Marco Signoretti getting involved in an incident there, and oh dear, the number 27 as well of Tom McGlynn, the Dark Horse Legends.
Well, there's been another car involved because there's damage to the front of Signoretti as well.
Yeah.
And there it is. It is the number 68, the blue and white car of Chip van Verst. I saw them dropping down the field. I think that is actually Chip's car is at the second corner. We got a good run from the guys at the front of the field. It was the first of the... It was coming through the first corner. Van Verst got sideways, picked up another car. Yeah, Van Verst on his own got a swapper on, and that was the start of the carnage in the middle of the pack. So this is all that was all at the first corner. Then a separate interview. Tom Tate up the inside. He spins off, and spinning in sympathy, really, the number 88 of Chelsea Tenova, the Formula Drift champion, went around, and that he was spinning his wheels up, trying to keep the car straight, and that caused the problems behind. Already behind the wall, Dan McKeever. Now, he had an incident further up the field, so there was 2 incidents effectively at turn 2, and then another one at the first of the chicanes.
Well, a lot more attrition than we saw in the entire race yesterday on the first, not even the first lap, the first half a lap here at Le Mans for the Mustang Challenge Invitational.
I think Andrea Madecki was the other car that was involved in that. Certainly Tom McLean for Competition Motors with damage. That is at the first chicane, but it's the first corner and running up to Dunlop. I think Madecki was the car that went off the track, but that had damage on the front. He was an innocent party, whoever it was. If it wasn't Andrew, I apologise, but whoever it was had to take to the gravel bed on driver's left. And our official safety vehicle for Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational picks up the field, which is headed again by Cameron McLeod.
This is very good news for Robert Neuker, because he's made his way up to 70. It depends how long the safety car is.
There you go.
But he has made his way up to 17th place out of all that.
He did brilliantly,
from the back of the grid,
picking his way through the issues.
So did Jim Farley. Jim Farley had to be very, very quick to avoid the spinning cars at the Daytona chicane, and he's actually up into 15th overall, third in Dark Horse Stars.
Watch out for the white and blue number 91. That car comes up the inside, locks up the inside front, and then takes too much curb, gets airborne. I think runs into the back of Paley's left rear wheel, and the right rear wheel roads up on it. Tanner Faust goes round the outside in the darker coloured number 1 car with the red racing stripes, and actually takes to the gravel. On the rejoin, then Dan McKeever comes back in the number 91. There's all sorts going on behind them, including a very sideways moment for Tim Miles in the repaired number 47. And that's a great story on that car. You'll notice it's running 2 number 47s on the side. The blue-backed number. And there is Andrew Madecki. So I was right. That was the car that was avoiding the spinning Chip Van Verst. So he is out again, unfortunately, not down to his own indiscretion. We're going back to that number 47 car. It carries 2 number 47s. The blue back number is the number for the race. The black and white number is an homage to one of his great friends who is here supporting him at the weekend. He comes from the same town in New Zealand as the McElrays, and you'll know Hunter McElray from racing in the States. Hunter McElray's dad and Tim Miles, big mates, went to school together, and so Hunter McElray's grandfather recently died, I think it was February, and he ran a Mustang in exactly those colours way back when in the championships down under with the 47 and the 2 racing stripes. And they've even reproduced the sticker over the front wheel for OSCA, which was a sanctioning body back in those days. And that is running as a beautiful tribute to the patriarch of the McElray family, who sadly we lost earlier this year. And should say that the friends were having a good time in the VIP hospitality.
Getting the money's worth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good. Quite right. Quite right, too. You've got to enjoy it. Yeah,
had a chat with Andy McElray as well, and I see him around the IMSA paddocks quite a lot, but never a chance to go and say hello. So it was good to have a chat. And Tim, obviously, Tim Miles, we know from Wall Racing, from our coverage of the Maguire's Bathurst 12 Hours, which we'll be going back to in February. FIA World Endurance Championship. These cars will be supporting at COTA on September the 5th to the 7th, and we'll be out for that as well. And the WEC calendar out for next year as well. Just review again, Peter, what went on behind the leaders, because I'm still sort of scratching my head. We've got to look out for the Chip Van First number 68 car. I think he did that on his, do you think he got help?
I think so.
Well, that would have been Madeki.
Oh no,
no, I don't think he did.
Possibly not. No. Ah, that's such a shame, because for Andrew Madeki, he was born in Tasmania, come all the way from Australia, and you put all the preparation in, and then at first lap, first corner, it's all done. And unfortunately for Dan McKeever, who's the president of the Ford Performance Racing School, so a really experienced racer, it's just not what you want to see. Also, Frankie Muniz getting into the side of the number 8 of Tom Tate in the...
Is that what kicked that off? And then everybody was on the inside of the corner.
This is at the Daytona chicane, yeah.
So somebody parked up on the inside, couldn't go any further, and
more
through
smoke.
the tyre smoke.
More smoke than a 1980s nightclub.
Yeah,
to drive through.
Very good. But trust me, I was working in the nightclubs at that time, so you're absolutely correct.
What a shame. What a shame for but there are winners and losers here, and one big winner. Look at Bruce Marine, up to 20th overall, 6th in Dark Horse Legends. He finished 11th in class yesterday. He's up in 6th, and of course we have a little bit of a soft spot for Bruce because his son Ryan is part of our team, part of our broadcast team,
part of the IMSA broadcast team as well. He respectfully requested that he didn't do this broadcast. I did ask him, I said, do you want to do the broadcast? And he said, do you mind if I go and stand trackside or get in the pit lane? Because this is a bit of a family bucket list item. And I said, of course not. So he's down there, quite rightly supporting his dad.
And his mum's in hospitality. That was her.
Yes,
that was her. What's the word? Criteria. He said, if we're going to do this, I want to be in hospitality.
The black and orange number 27 competition motors cars from Tom McGlynn has made it back to the pits, but no further. That was involved in the incident at the first chicane, the first time rounds. So they were on their best behaviour yesterday. A 747 and a cargo freighter employed to bring the 40 cars and all the spare parts, pits, gear, etc., over by Ford Performance in a stunning piece of logistical planning. Well done to the Ford Performance team, Scott Bartlett and the rest of his happy band, making the dream of Mark Rushbrook, head of Ford Performance, come true. Mark put this out there a little while ago, and then I think there was a raised eyebrow or two about bringing 30, 40 Mustangs to Le Mans. No American manufacturer's been here before and made the trip over the Atlantic to do a single make support race for the Le Mans 24 Hours. We've seen plenty from European ones, and the names are obvious. If you look back down through the years, there's pretty much a rotating entry. And the reason being, of course, that the logistics are difficult. But when Mark Rushbrook said, I think we can do this, they looked at it properly, and they've done a great job. All the teams loving being here. They are over in the paddock by the old Maison Blanche. Not that the house is there, the Maison has disappeared. Number 88, Chelsea Denofa, being told that he's going to have to come into the pit lane for dragging bodywork. That's a quick fix, and if he comes in straight away, they pull that off. He'll be back out on the end of the line of cars, but he'll have to do that this lap because the safety car is coming in. All of the yellows have been removed. Still the slightly forlorn picture for us on the tracker of 4 cars, little tiles, that are sitting stationary at various parts of the track, being Robert Noacre's racing team, number 91 of Dan McGeever, the Dark Horse Legends, and Chip Van Verst. They're at Dunlop. Those cars have moved from there now, along with Andrew Madecki and, of course, the competition motors car, the number 97, the Academy Motorsport, car of Marco Signoretti, and Colin Harrison in the pits as well in the number 21 Tech Sport. So we've lost half a dozen Dark Horse R's, Peter, but with coming on for half an hour still to go, we're going to be just under half an hour. That should give us something in the region probably of 6 or 7 laps of racing.
Yeah, hopefully we do get a nice clean run to the flag. But the race director made a great job yesterday of using the slow zones to avoid a full safety car.
I'm just giggling because the guys on the pit wall are on the Ford Performance. Chelsea Tanova's lost the rear bumper, so there'll be a quick yellow flag at that area. Now, everyone's still behind the safety car. He was weaving around in the number 88.
To try and get rid of it. Now, that's genius.
I'm not sure that was the smartest thing to do. He used the sponsor board on driver's left. Unfortunately, it flicked the body part, the rear clip, back onto the track, and the following cars had to, I think it was Steve Denton in the, no, actually it was Keith Kasulke who actually had to avoid it. And it all started when he got clipped trying to avoid the melee down at the Daytona chicane on the first lap. We will still be going green. Our brilliant marshals in orange. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, every single one of you. It takes, I was going to say it takes a village to put a motor race on. In terms of Le Mans, actually, it takes a whole town, a whole department of France. This is the 72nd department of France. Le Sarthe, the centre of the French insurance industry. The city of Le Mans, beautiful cathedral downtown. The old town is absolutely spectacular. But of course, since 1923, it has been the Le Mans 24 Hours, the Grand Prix d'Endurance, that has focused global attention on this area of the world, mostly in June, 2 races in September for various different reasons. Unrest in France, political unrest in France for the first time in the 60s, and then of course the tempestuous 2 COVID years. Double yellows at Marshall's post number 27, which is the exit of Arnage, another souvenir. But we are still going to go green, and Cameron McLeod with just on 29 minutes to go. So we might actually, 6 fours is 24, 7 fours is 28. Depends. Let's have a look. Cameron McLeod then leads the cars back to green in the second of 2 Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational races at the centre of endurance racing. The SEO, the guardians of endurance sport. And there's a perfect partnership between Ford and IMSA and the SEO to get these cars over here. IMSA, their normal racing platform for the Mustang Challenge, and we're racing again with 28.5 minutes to go. Cameron McLeod jumps out to a 6-car lead over Sam Paley in second. Jensen Holtzman in third. Robert Noaker already making a move on Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson's bonnet signed by the fans in the autograph session that was held in the paddock a couple of 3 days ago.
I love that. Yeah, what a way to bring the fans into this action. Doug Peterson saying when everyone came up to ask him for an autograph, he said, "No, I'm not going to sign your poster. You're going to sign my race car hood, and I'm going to put it on the car, and your name is going to go around this Le Circuit de la Sarthe with me." What a really nice thing to do, and really, we've seen it before in IMSA quite a lot, actually. The Shank cars, so you saw that a lot of them getting signed before the start of the race.
Peter Mackay, John Hindhaugh in the Ford Performance Studios as part of our global broadcast centre. We're at the bottom of the Bugatti circuit. We've been here since last Thursday, so just over a week. We had test day last weekend, and we're gearing up, of course, for the 24 hours of Le Mans, which you can follow the progress of Proton Racing and the Le Mans GT3 version of the Ford Mustang. Our build-up starts with the warm-up later on, and then we'll have our countdown to green. A little bit of a mistake there by Tanner Faust and Matt Nicol-Jones, who was one of the stars yesterday. It was the M&M show. We had Matt and Marco Signoretti. Marco sadly out of it. Matt Nicol-Jones needing no further invitation. Well, he's Batura and he are now side by side. So Faust just about held onto it there, and there's a little bit of rubbing of vinyl. Actually, Matt Nicol-Jones. Oh, and Batura's been clipped by Faust on the right exhaust.
By the 98.
Excuse me, not by Faust. Tate Pritt, yes. Faust ahead of them. Yellow flags waving. The right-hand twin exhaust that is getting out the burnt gases from that 5-litre Coyote motor. 500 horsepower under the hood. Just a little tap on the back. Actually, it wasn't just a little tap, was it?
Quite a big tap at the second chicane there, and Frankie Muniz managed to get slipped past there as well. Tanner Faust is on a push. He's got up into 7th place, getting past Matt Nicol-Jones. Muniz now up into 9th overall. A much, much better run than yesterday.
And that slowed down Robert Noaker as well. He had to avoid that in the blue and white number 13 car, but he's pulling out to the right-hand side of Tim Miles in that white number 47 car with the 2 racing stripes. The McElrea Heritage car, I think we can say, for that 25.5 still to go. Bashura has rejoined. Tanner Faust goes down the inside of Sandy Sotelo, and that's the Dark Horse Stars leader into the top 6, Peter.
Amazing. Yeah, really. We have seen a little bit of attrition, of course, but Tanner Faust really moving forward, getting used to this Mustang Dark Horse car. And the 133 of Frankie Muniz, a great run from him as well, up in 9th place. But he does have Robert Noaker right behind him, and behind Noaker is the ailing number 98 of Tate Pritt, because his hood is actually starting to pop open and the wind is getting underneath it. So hopefully it stays where it is and it doesn't pop off and hit the windscreen.
Looks like the incident earlier on where he took a little bit of a tap has loosened one of the bonnet pins, the left-hand side of that bonnet, and that is in front hood, I should say, really, shouldn't I? You know,
I should have said windshield.
Yeah, no.
Rather than windscreen.
No. Yeah, it's on the driver's side as well, and that is the problem. Matt Nicol-Jones, who was very racy yesterday, now battling with Sandy Sotelo. That's for 7th and 8th, and Sotelo coming through. And the second bonnet pin has given up the ghost on the number 98. It was never meant to keep that down. Now, can we get that car behind the wall? We might just go to a slow zone there. That's coming out of Arnage and heading up to the first part of the Porsche curves. Could put a slow zone in just before Indianapolis at Marshall's Post number 24, and then take it out at maybe 30, 31. The black and orange flag was going to be shown for mechanical defect to that car, but Tate Pritt has pulled it over to the side of the road. Now, I don't know whether he can see enough underneath it to find one of the orange overlaps in the Armco. 23.5 to go. Cameron McLeod doing Cameron McLeod things. 2.5 seconds at the front of the field from Sam Paley and Jensen Holtzman, 2 of the young chargers and recognised as such by Ford. They're in the Ford Performance Academy. Then Nathan Van Springel, Win Lucas. Behind Will is Matt Nicol-Jones, the top 6 all Dark Horse. Then the Dark Horse Stars, new class for this weekend with Tanner Faust. And the legend's been led by Tim Miles at the moment in that McElrea Heritage coloured car.
Very cool, very cool. Another cool battle is the CEO of Ford globally, Jim Farley, who's in 13th overall at the moment and 3rd in stars, is trying to hold off the number 77 of Chris Harris, the former Nürburgring 24-hour class winner, right on the back of, I guess, ultimately the guy that invited him here.
2-3 wide, down the tubes.
And through he goes.
And through he goes. Chris Harris making the pass, nicely done. you're looking out for Jim Farley around the circuit or around the world. He's the man who brought this Ford Mustang into being as head as of Ford and ensures that Ford goes motor racing globally in the very, very secure hands of head of Ford Performance, Mark Rushbrook, who I'll be talking to a bit later on today in the VIP hospitality. For those of you over there, good morning. Enjoying the sights and sounds of Mustang Challenge, the Le Mans Invitational. Now, two of the Academy drivers are having a battle for second overall going into Mulsanne Corner. The more white car with the thicker blue stripes is the third place car, and that is Jensen Ultimate.
And he's being chased by Nathan Van Springel, his fellow Porsche Ford Academy driver. That's a slip of the tongue there. So yesterday when we spoke to Nathan Van Springel in the First Tickets campsite, he was saying, I asked him, I said, did you start in Ford Fiesta racing? He says, yeah, I did 3 years of it. So he says, you cut me open, I bleed blue.
My first ever car race was back in 1996. And that was in the Ford Fiesta Challenge, supporting the British Touring Car Championship in what was then my local circuit at Croft up in North Yorkshire. So my dad's first car was a 1964 Ford Anglia, the one with the quirky back windows and the little fins. 1200 Super it was, dark blue with a white painted stripe along the side as they had in those days, and the chrome. And that's why I was into blue cars.
Maybe. Well, the Ford that sticks to mind to me is the Ford Focus WRC rally car from the late 90s, because of course it was driven by Colin McRae, my hero, who raced here in 2004. And that was the car that when I think of Ford, I think of that Martini Focus. And of course 4 Le Mans wins here in a row, 1966 all the way through to 1969, and indeed powered 2 cars with the Ford engine power, the Mirage in 1975 and the Rondo in 1980.
Yeah. Jean Rondeau, still the only man to win Le Mans in a car with his own name on it as the manufacturer. Excuse me, I'm getting so excited.
Yes,
here.
I know. Yes, we're clogging up. Just under 20 minutes to go. Cameron McLeod is doing exactly what he did yesterday, just gradually pulling away, and his gap is now up to 3.5 seconds. But Robert Neuecker has just done the fastest lap of the race, and it is the first sub 4:20 we've seen all week. 4:19.5. That is a remarkably quick time, and he is only 6.7 seconds from the lead. He is in 7th place, Robert Neuecker, the current runaway leader of the Mustang Challenge in the United States. Can he catch Cameron McLeod? Do you know what you'd like is a really short safety car, but they tend not to be short, do they? They tend not to be short.
8.5
so
miles.
He just needs to keep the head down.
8.5 miles around. 3 wide, coming down towards Tertre Rouge, round the outside. What a manoeuvre! Can he keep it on the track? The multicoloured number 34 of Will Lucas. My goodness, that was heart in mouth moment as he went round. And Robert Neuecker in the middle of that, deciding discretion was the better part of valour, even though he's fighting back up into the top 6. To his right is the Academy Motorsport car of Matt Nicol-Jones. 2 pairs of 2 now. And Neuecker's dropped in behind that multicoloured car, coming down to the Dunlop, to the Daytona chicane rather, named after the Daytona Speedway, the World Centre of Speed. We've not had Mustangs supporting the Rolex 24 yet.
I've been thinking that all week. We need to win. That needs
We've
to
had
happen.
them at Sebring. We haven't had them at Daytona yet. We've had them at the Circuit of the Americas. They're going to be at Road America on August the 1st through to the 3rd, and we'll have full coverage of that. If you can get there, come and join us for the Festival of Endurance and Sports Car Racing at beautiful Road America in Wisconsin. Great time of the year to be there. Great. Well, that was a bit of an off-track manoeuvre, and I think Will Lucas realises there he got an advantage, and he's actually made the restitution himself there, and he's cost him not just one position but a couple. He may have just had a note from his team there.
What a move as well from Robert Noaker on Matt Nicol-Jones, former British GT champion, and just cut through really, really well. And Noaker now is up into 5th place, but crucially has a bit of clean air ahead of him. He's 2.6 seconds up to Nathan Van Springel, his fellow Ford Academy driver.
And only 8.5 seconds off the lead. A 4:19.559 is the fastest lap of the race, as Peter Mackay was telling you a moment or two ago. We've still got more than a quarter of an hour. So we're coming to the line this time. The leaders are just coming down to Indianapolis and Arnage, so that's well over halfway around the track. That's going to give us, I think there's 3 laps after this one. At least 3 laps after this one, Peter.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tight, isn't it? Yeah, just like it was yesterday, it was quite tight whether we were going to get an extra lap or not. Ended up we had a red flag with about 3 minutes to go. So hopefully we get that extra lap. And I tell you exactly who wants that extra lap is Robert Noaker.
Yeah,
he needs that time to try and forge up the field. I mean, his best lap is 2 seconds quicker than race leader Cameron McLeod.
I've just tapped into a message from Noaker to his team as there's a yellow behind the leaders. I know that because I saw the green panel flashing as Robert Noaker went too. Somebody's had a problem coming out of Arnage. Let's hope that they can continue. Yeah, I've just intercepted a message from Noaker to his team. He sent his team up to the starter stand and they're trying to hide the checkered flag at the moment. Yes,
good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah, so it's Ford Performance Juniors sitting Sam Paley in 2nd, Altsman in 3rd, Van Springel in 4th, Noaker in 5th. I mean, if you want any proof of why Ford Performance have chosen these drivers for their junior team, there it is.
Yeah, they are absolutely on point. And 6 nicer, more sensible, funny, young drivers you could not wish to have. They absolutely got into the spirit of things at the First Tickets campsite yesterday. It's slightly more irreverent than we would normally do when we're on the air because we're just with a bunch of like-minded enthusiasts. The questions from the assembled was excellent, and it was Sam Paley's birthday yesterday, so we sang him happy birthday.
We even did, we did a lovely rendition of happy. Well, I say that lovely. Everyone else was, but I unfortunately had the microphone at that point, and
yeah, you've seen the video, haven't you?
No.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Singing's not one of my talents.
No.
Volume, yes, but tone, no.
Peter Mackay with the admission there. We've had a wee spin and a rejoin from Doug Peterson for Peterson Racing. That's cost him some real estate. He's dropped down to 23rd, still 10th in Dark Horse. But what about Tim Miles on 12th position at the moment in the top dozen? He leads Dark Horse Legends, but Alex Batura and Chris Harris is coming back to him. Tim Miles, surely he knows that they are coming behind him. He's lost a couple or 3 seconds last time to Alex Bashira.
Cameron McLeod has got the hurry on from the team because he's just done a 4:20.2. That's only 7/10 off Noaker's best, and he's gone absolute best in the first sector up to Tete Rouge, and the gap is up to 7.5 seconds at the front. So Cameron McLeod is just taking control of this race.
Tom Tate, Competition Motorsport, the multicoloured car in the pit lane. This is the number 8, and they've got the wheel guns out there. So maybe a problem with the wheels, some sideways contact, or perhaps he's picked up a puncture from some of the debris on the circuit. Still over 13 minutes to go. 5 laps in the books. And this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Jensen Altsman up into 2nd position.
What a drive from Robert Noaker. Even if he doesn't make it up to the win, the charge here on that white and blue fronted machine is his move as Sam Paley has been passed by Jensen Altsman.
Yeah. So that happened a moment or two ago. Paley trying to go back around the outside. Noaker with another outside pass, but he's not going to get that done. He's going to end up in the gravel, but somehow he doesn't. And he goes by and goes up into 3rd position. Check that 4th position. My apologies, because of course we've got Cameron McLeod up the road. Outstanding stuff on the outside of Nathan Van Springel. Dear Sir Isaac Newton, Do your laws not apply to Neuecker?
No, it doesn't appear so. Doesn't appear so. And
That was incredible pass. There was no way he was getting round the outside of Nathan there at Mulsanne, and if he was going to end in the gravel. And he didn't even put a wheel in the gravel. How does he do that?
what I'm seeing here is just raw driving talent, and that's what this package shows and allows drivers to give that up, to display their talent. And if you look at how many Mustang GT3 cars are going to be sold around the world over the next 2 or 3 years, and indeed racing all around the world, they're going to need drivers to drive them. And Robert Neuecker is putting his hand up in the air loud and clear now, saying, I'm your man.
He and his team have done a lot of development of this car, so they know it very well. They're racing in the States. They've taken the 4 victories that we've had in races in the States in the IMSA Mustang Challenge. And so, look, they know the car, but they do not know this circuit. Nobody did. That leveled the playing field. So hats off to them for Robert being able to drive through the field and keep the Michelin tyres underneath him. But what does it say when we've been talking about the 4 Performance Junior team that Cameron McLeod is leading them by 8.5 seconds now?
That was going to be my next point. You look at Cameron McLeod's scenario, he's leading the Super 2 Championship in Australia, which is the feeder series into supercars, which is a huge series down under. Now, one of the major manufacturers in that championship is Ford, has been for generations. Now, right now, you could not have a better advert than leading away this race by 8.9 seconds and saying, hello, Mr. Ford, come and put me in one of your supercar teams.
They had the presentations down in their paddock yesterday. A little bit of tyre smoke going up towards the Dunlop chicane, but the battles continue. Oh, that's a tyre rub. Was that a tyre rub?
Yeah.
Right in front of Tanner Faust. That must have been Nathan Van Springel. So what happened there to Nathan? It's his right front tyre. I think. Now, you see, I was going to say I think he had a wheel nut loose, but I've just realised they're five stud wheels, so it's not as if he was losing a centre lock. They said that straight off those hubs are straight off the road car. Plenty of cars, plenty of parts that are shared. Here's Neuecker going up onto the podium. What a drive from 37th position with some safety car, which took time out of the race for him to come through. This is extraordinary. Just under 10 minutes to go. Cameron McLeod by 9.5 now, and only Jensen Altsman in second place, holding back Neuecker from charging up to the leader.
Amazing stuff.
Cameron McLeod's just taken a 4:19.997 at the front of the field. One of only 2 drivers who've been under 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah. Oh dear.
No.
Doug Peterson in the
gravel.
gravel. Now that looks like that's at the Dunlop corner. So
Marshall's post 3. Spot on.
That's so frustrating. 9 minutes left on the clock, and it's deep in that gravel trap. Very difficult to get
slow
out.
Zone. It'll be a slow zone. Great work by Race Control. That car in the gravel. They're not going to bring out the safety car, and that I think was Doug on his own. Just got a little bit overexcited. The whole car's been, not just the hood, the whole car's been signed. That is absolutely incredible. Foot on the brake, foot on the brake, foot on the brake. Oh, just literally a second too late getting his foot on the brake. He'd already dropped off the hard surface.
Cameron McLeod's in the middle of almost in the middle of a time trial at the moment as the battle for second place is raging on. McLeod got 10.3 seconds in hand as here comes Neuecker. Neuecker in the number 13 blue-fronted car on the 23 of Jensen Altsman and gets by on the run down towards Indianapolis. Fantastic stuff. So Neuecker from the back of the pack, a 37 car pack, he is up into second position. Remarkable.
Through into that right-hander, that tricky right-hander. He defends a little bit on the banking of Indianapolis. Now heads towards Arnage. Jensen Altsman on the podium at the moment. Can he get the nose of his Mustang underneath? No, he can't. Neuecker goes a little bit wider. He's had to use his Michelin tyres to get here. Now, the draft is strong in these cars. Meantime, behind, Alex Batura, I think, has just taken the lead in the Dark Horse Legends. Yes, he has. So Tim Miles, in fact, has dropped down to third because I think I saw Alfonso Diaz's car as well. So Tim Miles in the McElrea Heritage, the tribute car, has dropped down to third, but that is still a great result for him. He'll be on the podium later.
Just coming out of R&R's, Matt Nicol-Jones in 6th place, who was right on the bootlet of Tanner Faust. He came out of R&R's and had that massive slide, and he's just had another one at the Porsche curves. Yes, the Porsche curves, not where you want to slide, and it cost him so much time up the straight.
Well, you know what his day job is, though? He's in Formula Drift. He's a Formula Drift
Tanner
champion.
Faust, no, but it's Nicol-Jones who had the slide.
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry, I thought you were talking about...
He's doing too much of it.
No, sorry, I thought you were talking about Chelsea Denova. No, my apologies. Mark Nicol-Jones in that number 62 car, yeah, absolutely, was
all over
sideways.
the place. Yeah,
he was very close to the wall coming through karting. McLeod going slowly.
No,
oh yes,
it's a slow zone.
Slow zone, slow zone, slow zone. Yeah, over the start-finish line. So coming out of Marshall's Post 35, which is the exit of the Porsche chicane, and onto the start-finish straight. And Doug Peterson's going again. Doug Peterson has been dragged out the gravel by a hard-working Marshall. So Doug Peterson having dropped down to 28th position and 9th in the Dark Horse class. So that means we will clear the slow zone for the subsequent laps. I reckon we'll get another lap in after this.
2 to go, including this one.
Yeah,
for sure. Unless anything else happens, of course. But if all things are equal, that should be the case.
So the slow zone clears on the exit of the Dunlop chicane under the bridge in an acceleration zone. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. Great flag, great flag. Waving at the top of the hill. Ryan McLeod saw the panels. And that's somebody touring in front, and it's held him up. Oh my goodness me, it's McLeod.
It's McLeod.
That is the leader. He didn't see the green flag, so we've
No
got
way.
a new leader. Robert Noaker from 37. McLeod has taken the... I don't know what he's done there.
No way.
He was he between Marshall's posts? What a costly mistake, or whatever has happened there.
Will the car have a limiter on it?
Possibly. Yeah.
So it could have been that maybe couldn't get the limiter off, possibly. Well, we don't know. But oh no. Cameron, he had 10-second lead going into that slow zone.
I think it was. I saw the green flag waving under the Dunlop bridge. Look at the. If we get a moment, this is the pass for the lead as Robert Noaker went through on the Forest S's, and
team going berserk, the Robert Noaker team, after that one.
Olivier Denis, our brilliant director, and thank you to Natalie Fargier and the rest of ACO TV, by the way, for giving us the facilities and getting us the pictures. Nick Damon has been streaming this to the world, so thank you to all involved in this. If we get a moment, it would be nice to see that restart moment from the top of the hill. Race control, in fact, that is still there. So that slow zone is still there, showing a...
But it will end in 15 seconds.
Yeah, but I saw a green flag waving underneath the Dunlop bridge, and that is clearly what the cars second on down saw as well. Was that flag either not there for Cameron McLeod, or did he not see it? That's where I accepted the acceleration zone to be. That the slow zones start in a braking area and end in an acceleration area, and there are actually marks on the side of the track. I was showing them to you on Tuesday.
Yeah, we were lucky to have Andy Prio with us yesterday in the For Performance studios, and he was saying that this is a great learning opportunity for the drivers to learn how slow zones work and how you can gain time going in and gain time going out. And well, if knowing how to do them properly is a big thing. And we'll maybe pause on judgment. There could be something else for Cameron McLeod there, but what it means is that Robert Noaker has got the opportunity to try and pull away in Sector 2 when they were both up to speed. Noaker was 0.2 quicker than McLeod, but McLeod appears to have got his head down here big time, and as they head up out of Arnage and towards the Porsche curves, McLeod is hoping to try and drag himself back up towards Noaker. We could have a proper grandstand finish here. Well, when Ford won their last Le Mans 24 Hours in 1969, that was the grandstand finish of grandstand finishes when Hans Hermann nearly pinched the win from Jackie X.
Yeah, that wasn't a stage finish either.
I know it was not.
No, that was a racing finish. So I think we've got enough for one more 8.5-mile lap as Doug Peterson sensibly stays out of the way. Sam Paley and Jenson Altsman now battling for third position after a little bit of shenanigans there coming out of that slow zone.
12 seconds that cost Ryan McLeod.
Yeah.
Ryan McLeod's his dad. That's the team he's running. Cameron McLeod, excuse me. And Cameron McLeod is in this last sector has taken a bit of time out. I'm sure of it as they come in through to complete the lap. Yeah, 4/10 Cameron took out of Robert, the leader. Sam
Paley cut the final part of the chicane. He will have to make restitution on that. We've just had an incident down at the run into Indianapolis. That has cleared. Big sideways slide from Tanner Faust. And the other car that's been moving around, Matt Nicol-Jones, they've burned out their Michelin tyres on the back. Now, what happened at the Ford chicane? Sam Paley with a little bit of help from Jenson Altsman. The deflection on those tyres are incredible. So maybe he won't feel he has to give restitution back there because there was a bit of hip and shoulder from Jenson Altsman, the two Ford Performance Junior team members.
The Robert Noaker, the race leader, and Cameron McLeod in second, absolutely inseparable through the first sector to Tete Rouge. The gap is 0.685 of a second. Noaker trying to hold off Cameron McLeod here. McLeod had a 10-second lead going into that slow zone as well. There might be a little bit of discussion after the race, but for now this is going to be a battle to the win as McLeod is trying everything he can to reel in Noaker, and he's getting close enough where he can start to pick up a little bit of a slipstream. McLeod on the flashers trying to distract Noaker as much as possible. I think he's going to have to think of another way to do that. This was the battle I think we were going to have if Noaker had started at the front of the grid. A proper duel between Noaker, the American, and McLeod, the Australian.
McLeod flashing his headlights as they go down towards the second chicane, and he's closing in. I've asked a lot of drivers recently the same question. Do you get bothered by drivers behind you flashing their lights? No. When you're behind people, do you flash your lights? Hell yes. Of course we do. Now, here's the battle for the lead. The draft is strong. Cameron McLeod in the Ryan McLeod racing car goes out to driver's left. That will mean he'll have to do the Noaker move round the outside on the man who's perfected it. He clicks to the inside, right over the inside curb from Noaker. He really defended hard there. The old over and under coming out of Mulsanne corner. The signalling pits to the right. This is marvellous stuff in the Mustang Challenge Le Mans Invitational on the circuit that has seen so much Ford history down through the years, and we're writing a new chapter here between these two young chargers from opposite sides of the world. Robert Noaker from the back to the front of the grid. Cameron McLeod, who had led comfortably before coming out of that slow zone a lap ago. They're still side by side on the last lap. Half a lap to go here is still the better part of 4 miles, and through on the inside into Indianapolis goes the man from the Antipodes, and McLeod leads at Le Mans. Robert Noaker tries to do to him what he's just had done. This is marvellous stuff. The connections of both teams on tenterhooks and hopping around from foot to foot in a pit lane that has seen so much Ford glory down through the years. Immense stuff by these two drivers. Third place, Sam Paley has got the best seat in the house as Noaker jinks out to the right. He's going to go around the outside on the new bit of tarmac, and he's on now, loses the front end of the car, has to drop back in as they head now onto the older tarmac in the double left of the Porsche curves, and the leader loses the back end. There's nothing being left on the table here. These two 500 horsepower V8 engine Ford Mustang Dark Horse R's, every single pony being used to the absolute max by these two drivers. into the Ford chicane for the last time. McLeod has cleared it back. He's got just this one complex. He gets these entry from the pit lane entrance across the curbs. No chance of a pass unless there's a mistake, unless it could be a sprint to the line. It's going to be Cameron McLeod. He pulls off to the left-hand side, so he didn't give Noeka the draft, and he wins it by a 10th and 3/4. Cameron McLeod wins from Noeka with Sam Paley in third. Jensen Altman, the unluckiest driver to be off the podium with Matt Nicol-Jones. Well, we don't have to worry about what happens coming out of that slow zone because we got the race that we'd hoped for. Robert Noeka from the back of the grid, take nothing away from him. And look at the respect. Look at the respect between those two young Ford drivers coming from different sides of the world. Different type of racing upbringing. And listen to the crowd. That is not canned applause. That is genuine appreciation by the Le Mans crowd on the bankside. Incredible stuff. Tanner Faust came through to win again in the stars, or win the stars, should I say, in 7th position. What a finish to the race, particularly coming into the Porsche curves. Either of them could have ended up in the wall here.
Oh, but it was such fair racing, just really clean stuff. And one tiny error, well, there were 2 tiny errors from Noeka. It was a tiny error coming out of Mulsanne, which just cost him a little bit of time, and that allowed McLeod to set the move up. And then McLeod just kept it clean, kept it tidy, and stayed cool under pressure. He must have been furious after that, losing that 10-second lead after the slow zone, but to fight back and win. Ryan McLeod's racing team there for Cameron McLeod, their man. Cameron McLeod, remember that name.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the tribute car to the number 47, I'm just trying to see what happened. Something happened in Legends because Alfonso Diaz has come through to win, and Tim Miles, yes, was in 2nd place. So 3rd, Drew Neubauer, Stephen Weiger in 4th. So extraordinary stuff. What happened to Alex Bashura in the 33? He's down in 13th position. Frankie Muniz, by the way, coming through to 2nd in the Dark Horse Stars, ahead of Chris Harris. My
great
goodness
drive from
me.
Chris. Amazing drive from Chris, up to 12th place from deep in the deep in the field.
Tim Miles right now will be laughing inside that number 47 car for Wall Racing. Alfonso Diaz, well, he's been racing in the IMSA series, and that's a good drive through the field to him. 11th position overall. Tim Miles, 14th position. And then the 2 NV Autosport, the gradient run cars, Drew Neubauer, Stephen Weiger in 3rd and 4th. And I'm just trying to see where Bruce Marine... Bruce Marine, 9th in the Dark Horse Legends class.
He'll be pleased with that one. He was 11th yesterday, moving up to 9th in class today. And, well, Ryan, his son, who works with us, said to me, he says his dad thinks this might be his last race, sign off on a real high. Whether that's the case or not, only time will tell. But if it is, does it get much better than signing off here at Le Mans?
There will be a Dark Horse Mustang series in the States. In the States again this year, yes, but in Australia next year. That was announced in April. We've yet to hear the full details of where that would be. But what about a Dark Horse race around Bathurst?
Oh my, yes please.
As a support to the Bathurst 12 hours, or maybe to the big race, the great race in October,
please.
The 1,000 Ks.
Yeah, I think so. And I think,
by the way, if that happens, Hello Ford Performance, if that happens, I'll be there already for the Bathurst 12 hours. Chris Ward drafted in to Ford Performance to add his massive experience of single manufacturer racing to Ford Mustang Challenge. And great to see Chris over here at Le Mans.
Well, I think the one circuit that is Bathurst, definitely the one circuits that jump into my mind all week would be the Rolex 24 at Daytona as a support race there. I think that would make the most amazing event. So many possibilities.
Genuine appreciation from the crowd, and there'll be a lot of very excited people in the For Performance hospitality as well. The marshals applauding and the drivers thanking the marshals as well. Always a nice thing to do. Well, incredible. Didn't start too auspiciously. The two leaders at that point, Cameron McLeod and Sam Pearley, were having their own little battle, but it all kicked off behind when Chip van Verst went sideways, and unfortunately Andrew Madecki couldn't avoid it. Further up the field, the number 91 car of Robert Noecker Racing's Dan McKeever rode up on the back of Sam Paley and took the back of the bumper off. And then there was the chain reaction. Tom Tate trying to go down the inside of another car, spinning in sympathy. Chelsea Denova, who got back to 4th, by the way, and 13th overall, and had an interesting way of getting rid of the bumper with one of the sponsor signs coming out of Mulsanne Corner. So safety car and slow zones. We did get back to racing, and when racing resumed, there was a little bit of Bashura getting spun down the field. Yes, actually we did see that, and that promoted Tim Miles up to the sharp end of the Dark Horse Legends. But something clearly happened at the end of the race to allow Alfonso Diaz to go through. There was plenty of good racing. Then we had that incident that brought out the slow zone at turn 1. Say Pritt with the bonnet, the hood, needing some marshal's assistance there. Tell you what, that takes some bending back there. That lad's been working out.
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely need to be moving all these cars around when there's issues out there on circuit. Wowee.
Noecker doing what he did yesterday and coming through the field. His ability to pass almost at will was impressive. And he scythed his way through the field. And then that's late not full course yellow, actually, slow zone, which seemed to have decided the race at one stage, Peter. I'm so pleased. And Doug Peterson slid the car around at the top of the hill. This is the car that's been signed by everybody in the autograph session earlier on the week. He just didn't get his foot on the brake in time. Actually, he's on the brake. I'll take that back, Doug. He was on the brake. But then coming out of the slow zone, Ryan McLeod either didn't notice or didn't see the green flag or didn't get told. I don't know what, but he actually dropped down to 3rd position for a moment there. Through goes Noecker, and then the battle commenced. And down at Indianapolis, it was an extraordinary manoeuvre, and through back to the lead for the man from down under.
Great move from Cameron McLeod, and took advantage of a tiny mistake from Robert Noecker. But when you're playing for keeps like that, that can happen. And what a drive, because it would have been so easy to fade back with the frustration of losing all that time in the slow zone.
So Ryan McLeod takes the win from Robert Noecker, the man who made the most passes of the season. Those two gave us plenty of entertainment in those last couple of laps, with Sam Paley through in 3rd position. Alfonso Diaz taking the Dark Horse Legends ahead of Tim Miles and Drew Nobar on the podium as well. And it was Tanner Faust, wasn't it, who got to the lead of the Stars. A few drivers having early problems, including Marco Signoretti, the For Performance junior driver, Tom McGlynn, Chip van Verst, and Andrew Madecki and Dan McKeever, all in that early running in the first lap. Didn't get too far around the circuit. Well, excellent stuff, and Cameron McLeod makes it 2 for 2 on the hallowed tarmac of the Le Mans 24-hour circuit on 24-hour Saturday. Well, the first time that an American manufacturer has come to Le Mans to be the support. Let's hope it's not the last. We'll be watching the big brothers of these cars with Proton and their two cars in GT3, the Le Mans GT3 category, coming up later on. From Peter Mackay, from me, John Hindorf, and from Ford Mustang Le Mans Invitational, it's bye for now.